Welcome back to the Brahmin Word, and we are continuing to walk through the life of Peter. And today we are going to see um, how the fact that he sees a miracle very early on with the healing of his own mother-in-law by Jesus, and it got me thinking: do we and can we see miracles still to this day? And yeah, let's walk through that today. So we are going to be looking at Matthew chapter 8, Mark chapter 1, and Luke chapter 4, all in this section. So let's start Matthew chapter 8, verses 14 through 17. And when Jesus entered Peter's house, he saw his mother in law sick with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she rose and began to serve him. That evening they brought to him many who were oppressed by demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick. This was to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet Isaiah. He took our illnesses and bore our diseases. All right, so you have the start of Jesus's ministry, and he's called the disciples, and now he is really getting into the aspect of ministry going towards the cross. But a big part of his ministry, though, is healing the sick. And some have thought, why is that? Why can't he just teach and prophesy what's going to come with his death and resurrection? It's a great question. And so, what is the purpose of miracles? And why do they stand out so much? Well, obviously, there's a lot of mystery behind miracles. How did that happen? like, the that dude just walked on water? Are you kidding me? Or you have other miracles of Jesus, letting the blind see or letting the deaf hear. How did that happen? And doing all of that within a moment. And so it's interesting to see, I think, just the fascination with miracles because it is accomplishing something that seems beyond the odds. And so for me, I think that's really, really interesting to see with miracles. The other thing that I think miracles do is to show who Jesus is. Yes, Jesus is a fantastic teacher. He is a fantastic speaker as well. And yes, he is 100% human. However, he's also 100% divine. He is 100% God. And I think the miracles are there to show that. Jesus' words and Jesus's actions show his humanity, and but his words and his actions also show his divinity. And so I think you are through the miracles of Jesus, you are getting to see the fact that he is 100% man and 100% God. And what a beautiful, beautiful thing to see here. But here for Peter, though, he gets to see his mother in law be healed. And for you and I today, when we think of a fever, we think of something that's, don't get me wrong, not fun. It's not fun to have a fever, but it's very treatable now because of the wisdom and the knowledge of those in the medical field that have gone before us. I think that's definitely a big part of it. But we are in a much better place in a medical standpoint. So for us, when we read that she lay sick with a fever, we go, well, that's not fun per se. And that would probably make her day not very fun. But, it'll be good. You just take some over the counter stuff and you'll be okay. Make sure that you're staying hydrated, just all of that stuff. The problem is though that that's our context. In the original context, something as let's say, quote unquote, simple in our day and age. But something as simple as a fever actually could be extremely fatal in this context. So when it's saying that she's laying sick with a fever, yes, we're supposed to feel like, oh, that stinks. And oh, I'm so sorry that she was having a bad day. But it's actually a lot more. It's a lot more critical than that. It literally could have killed her. And yet, Jesus, just by touching her hand, I love how this is described here. The fever leaves her, and then she rises and starts to serve Jesus and those that are in her home. And so, or sorry, Peter's home. So, I think that is just really, really cool to see. Which then, of course, everybody hears and they start to bring more and more folks that were sick, but also those that were possessed or oppressed by demons. However, this is not the only space that we see this interaction with Jesus and Peter here. Mark chapter 1, verses 29 through 31. And immediately he, Jesus, left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's mother-in-law lay ill with a fever, and immediately they told him about her. And he came and took her by the hand and lifted her up, and the fever left her, and she began to serve them. And then verses 32 through 34 is just talking about how a lot of people then came to Jesus to be healed. Then in Luke chapter 4, we also see this mentioned as well. Luke chapter 4, verses 38 and 39. And he arose, he being Jesus, and left the synagogue and entered Simon's house. Now Simon's mother-in-law was ill with a high fever, and they appealed to him on her behalf. And he stood over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her. And immediately she rose and began to serve them. And then in verses 40 and 41, again, it talks about those that came to Jesus to be healed as well. I do want to read verse 41, though. It's very, very cool. Luke chapter 4, verse 41. And demons also came out of many, crying, "You are the Son of God." But he, Jesus, rebuked them and would not allow them to speak because they knew that he was the Christ. Whoa, what a statement. Like, that is so cool. Like, I wish that's not where we're going this evening, but that section is really, really interesting. Just talking again about the divinity of Christ. But here, going back to Peter, I think here though, you see early on Jesus's ministry, just Peter and the other disciples too, being able to see Jesus performing miracles is, oh, awesome, right? It is so cool to see. But it leads me to a question. Can we still see miracles today? And the answer to that is yes. Now, obviously, we're not going to see them in the same exact way as what we just read. Jesus is probably, he's probably not just going to show up in your mother-in-law's bedroom who is sick. Probably not going to show up in person. Now, he could because he's God, but probably not. But it's a great question. Do we still see miracles today? Absolutely, we do. There are so many different great accounts of people praying over those who are sick, and they go back for an exam. They have cancer or something like that, and the cancer is gone, and the medical professionals can't explain how it happened. That's a miracle. Absolutely, it is. And so, do we still see miracles today? Absolutely, we do. And so that's really, really cool to see in this early part of the life of Peter. but really also in the early part of Jesus's ministry, that miracles are on the forefront of that ministry, and that just continues to go from there. And so we also will continue to go from there with Peter. There are some awesome things coming up with Peter, whether it is walking on water or his grand proclamation that Jesus is the Christ. And so we will continue to walk towards those things next week. But thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today as we walk through just Peter seeing a miracle that Jesus does for his mother in law, and the beauty and the just power of Jesus as well. And so, thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today. I will see you next week as we continue to walk through the life of Peter. Thanks.